Welcome back. This is part 3 of our series where we're creating a custom layout for Jetpack Compose. We have created a layout where we can put items as nodes in a graph like this. And today we're going to add the capability to drag nodes around. And to drag nodes around, we need to capture the input from the user. And we do that by adding one more part to the modifier that we have in our layout. We will capture the pointer input on unit. The event we are interested in is the detect drag gesture. That will give us updates whenever something is dragged. But before we do that, we want to detect a drag start, which will give us the position of the start of a drag. And we will just give it to our graph, the model. Let's call it drag start. And this is a function that is not created yet. We will do that soon. And when we are dragging, we will give that as well to the graph. And let's call it on drag with a drag amount, which is how much we have dragged. Let's create these functions. And on drag start, we want to detect which node we want and try to drag. That's why we have saved the node positions in our graph class. So we will filter out all the positions that are at the position. If suppose that rectangle that the node have contains the position, we will pick out the first one and we'll create this as an extension method. And when we have found out which node we have trying to drag, we save that. Let's call it drag node. And it will be of the type T, question mark. And now we have which node we are trying to drag. So let's move it when we are dragging. So if drag node is not null, that is we're trying to drag a node, we will use that node, find out the node position of that node. This can also be null, so let's do another let. And this will be the rectangle of the node. And we say that the node new position of the node will be the rectangle, and we will just translate it with the drag amount. as a int offset. And after this, we will tell Jetpack Compose that something have changed. So we just say all the node positions, map them to the top left corners, and we assign it to positions, which will trigger a re-render of our graph. And now, if we try to drag a node, we see it moving, but it just keep jumping back to its original position. And that is because we are in graph place nodes, always setting our nodes back to the position that they want from start. So let's disable that. So let's say if need layout, or rather if we don't need to layout, we just return here and say need layout equals to false, and we create this as a variable that starts out as true. And as soon as we have done the layout once, we set it to false, and we will not layout anymore. There we have our graph with nodes that we can drag around if we want. And if we do click on between the nodes and drag, we get an exception that says that the collection is empty. So let's fix that little thing first. That is, if we filter here and don't find anything, this might be null. So we say first or null instead. We should have fixed that. And now we can drag our nodes, and we don't get the exception if we click on the outside the node. And that's where I'm gonna leave this series. But before, I will leave you with an example of a graph that I created just to demonstrate what's possible with this layout. So I will just remove what we have here and paste in something I created before. And it's nodes that are names. And we have some relation between these names. And I have created a new composable that will be our layout for each node. Instead of doing a text for each node, I will do my node with the node name in it. And now if I run this, we'll have nodes that look like this instead. We have our name. Maybe we can render images in them. We can drag them around just as we learned in this part. And we can also put in any other Jetpack Compose thing that we can imagine inside here. So we could have something that we can edit like this, and still have nodes that we drag around. And I will leave it up to your imagination on what to do with this kind of layout. And thank you for watching. See you next time.